Hi guys, my name is Minhajuddin Ansari and you're watching the 48 tutorial on the C programming language, and today I'll be talking about macros. So macros are preprocessor commands. That means they are processed by the preprocessor. So before your source code goes to the compiler, it is first processed by the preprocessor, and all preprocessor commands are processed by the preprocessor program. So now there are two types of macros, object-like macros and function-like macros. So first I'm going to give you an example of an object-like macro. So in order to define your object-like macro, simply write the define preprocessor directive and then write the name of your object-like macro. And by convention, you should write the name in capital letters. So I'm going to write the name of my object like macro Minhaj, and my object like macro will represent the value 65. And since this is a preprocessor command, so you do not need to add the semicolon at the end. So now in my main function, I'm simply going to use my printf statement and I'm going to print the value of the macro Minhaj. So when I run the program, I'm going to get the output 65. So what is actually happening here? Before your source code goes through the compiler, it goes through the preprocessor program. And the preprocessor program simply replaces all the macro names with the values they represent. So, inside your source code, this macro Minhaj, it is replaced by the value 65, and then your source code passes through the compiler. So now the second type of macro is the function-like macro, and it is used to represent functions. So I'm just going to change the name of my macro, function-like macro, to compare, and inside the parameters, I'm going to pass two data items, A and B, and the data items can be of any data type. So now I'm going to define the body of the function like macro compare. So I'm going to write if A is greater than B, then simply printf A is greater than B. And one thing to keep in mind, when you are going to use the next line, simply add the backslash symbol right here. So if your function is going to be defined in multiple lines, so for each new line, make sure you write the backslash right here. So I'm going to end my printf statement with a semicolon, and again I'm going to write the backslash because I'm going to go to the next line, and I'm going to write my else statement right here. Else, and again backslash. And inside the else statement, I'm simply going to printf A is lesser than B, and I'm going to end it with a semicolon. So this is the definition of my function like macro compare. So now I'm going to simply write my macro compare in my main function, and I'm going to pass it 10 and 5. So now when I run the program, it's going to display A is greater than B. So since I haven't specified the data types of my parameters, so the arguments can be of any data type. So I can, for example, add floats 10.5 and 5.5. So now when I run the program, again, it's going to display A is greater than B. Similarly, I can add characters as my arguments. So I can add character A right here and character B right here. And since the ASCII code of B is greater than the ASCII code of A, so when I run the program, the output is going to be B is greater than A. So this is simply my function like macro. And again, before your source code goes through the compiler, your source code goes through the preprocessor program. And the preprocessor program simply replaces the function like macro compare with the definition. So the entire definition appears right here, and it replaces the function like macro compare. So then after that, your source code goes through the compiler. So this is all it about macros. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section, and thanks for watching this video.